The truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence. Islamic leaders silence. Kings and queens silence. Traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of the call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of the call. One guy's out here, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend on a nine come as them. Only papi obeka na sembia. So I want one over you. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again, once my boy dumping one another. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wansam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Akukudro for nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow Germansa to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Akukutro for nyina dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi se udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you. Now the person become your target. Jobless no they mean senseless. Poverty no they mean useless. One day then go resist.
Hello once again, a very good evening to you up there, and I'm very glad to come your way once again on our wonderful program, MyView. And we're coming to you live on Today's Ghana News TV, and we're equally live on all our social media handles on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all on the name Today's Ghana News TV. It's always a joy to come your way on this socio-political program where we share our views on issues. We take the views of our guests and take the views of our followers, and together we will sum them up for the development of Mother Ghana. Wherever you are, it's a joy to welcome you today once again, and we will be looking at issues concerning the National Commission on Culture with reference to NAFAC 2024. Wherever you are, share the link, let others also join, and together we talk about culture. Culture is an identity of a people, and how has that manifested in our back home in Ghana and in our own cultural setup in our homes and wherever we find ourselves. So wherever you are, stay tuned and stay focused, share the link with other colleagues, and together we will come and have a good and a fruitful discussion taking your views into account on the impact of the National Commission on Culture in our socio-cultural background and our bringing up. So wherever you are, it's a pleasure once again. Stay tuned, and when I return, I would introduce my guest for this evening's show to you, and together we'll make it more meaningful. Once again, welcome and stay tuned. So, welcome back. And as I did indicate, today we want to look at the National Commission on Culture, its role and impact in nation building. And we're looking at the perspective of NAFAC, National Festival of Arts and Culture 2024. And I am very blessed to introduce to you no other person but the Deputy Executive Director of the National Commission on Culture, Ghana, in the person of Dr. Phil Richardson Comey, who will share more light on what NAFAC, what the role of the National Commission on Culture and what NAFAC is and what we expect coming up with NAFAC 2024. I think most of you are fully aware that we've been celebrating NAFAC for a past number of years. I recall the first time I attended a NAFAC program was when I was a student at the University of Cape Coast, and NAFAC was hosted in the central region in Cape Coast, to be precise. The Center for National Culture was the host village for this celebration, and they had a lot of programs that took them to even the gates of no return, the last Bath rivers and all that, where we had people returning from the diaspora to trace their cultural origins right home in Ghana. So how has that contributed to the socio-economic development of Ghana, with particular reference to our cultural beliefs and activities? It will be very interesting how we'll see how the culture of a people can be the key identity of them, and we see the influence of foreign cultures trying to take a better part of a particular nation. How have we come far with the existence of the National Commission on Culture? How has that commission contributed to the identity of us maintaining our identity as Ghanaians, of us maintaining our identity as people from the respective regions within Ghana? We want to find out from the Deputy Executive Director how that has worked very well for us. Oh, Dr. Comey, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Jerome.
Wonderful. I was just saying one or two things about the National Commission on Culture and how it has impacted on our lives, especially looking at NAFAC, because as I indicated, the first time I heard about NAFAC was somewhere 99 thereabout, where the one was hosted in Cape Coast. I happen to have been part and parcel of it. So we'll look at it again and look at NAFAC in 2024 and see how it will come up. So basically, a lot of, when I put up the flyer on my Facebook wall, some people were asking the question whether there is still National Commission on Culture in existence, and if it is so, what has been their role? It's good that we have you here and to tell us more about the Center for National Culture.
Yes, thank you very much, Jerome. Indeed, the National Commission on Culture has been around and is still around. and we believe strongly that it is going to be around in the future, because no society can exist without their culture. And for any society to exist and be able to move forward, there's a need for the establishment of an institution that to be able to play the functional role of guiding the people towards the right um, the National Commission on Culture in the past, before 19, was the same institution that was referred to as the Art Council of Ghana.
Okay.
Remember, during 1951, when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was then the Prime Minister and was still negotiating with Great Britain for Ghana to gain independence finally in 1957, there were some decisions that Nkrumah was able to take. And one of the key decisions that Nkrumah took was to ensure that there's the establishment or there's the change of the institution British Art Council to Art Council of Gold Coast. Now, what Nkrumah sought to do was to immediately start conscientizing and creating awareness and sensitizing Ghanaians about the true Ghanaian and African identity, because Nkrumah was very much aware that one of the fallout of colonialism is the fact that the culture of the people have been influenced by their colonial masters. So he sought to immediately establish the Gold Coast Art Council. Then after 1957, when Ghana finally gained independence, he went on again to change it from the Gold Coast Art Council to the Art Council of Ghana. And so it's the same organization that in 1990 changed from the Art Council of Ghana to now become the National Commission on Culture by PNDC Law 238 of 1990. So the commission has been working since 1951.
Okay.
So if any Ghanaian is listening to us of any age and can remember going to school and learning proverbs, learning traditional songs, playing traditional instruments, studying cultural studies and all that, all those years, these interventions in schools through the Ghana Education Service were interventions directly from either the Art Council of Gold Coast, the Art Council of Ghana, or now the National Commission on Culture. So we have been there right from the beginning of times, since 1951, ensuring as a state institution how we can identify ourselves as true Ghanaians, what our cherished norms and values are that we need to take along as a people, the ones that are injurious to us as a people that we need to get rid of, and the ones that are also very powerful to even earn us income and create wealth and job for our people, the ones that are also very powerful to empower us to be more independent as a people and not to continue to rely on foreign influences or foreign powers to decide what should be happening in our country and all that are what the National Commission on Culture is about. But of course, we are still in the state of ensuring that Ghana is completely saved from any kind of colonial mentality or influence. And until we do that, or until we are successful in doing that, the National Commission on Culture continues to be one of the institutions that will struggle to even get government attention in terms of resources.
Yeah.
And so it is not surprising that somebody will ask you, Jerome, the question whether we continue to exist. Even though we do, we are not funded like we used to. When the National Commission on Culture was seen more or less like a presidential commission, and the leader or the head of the commission had a ministerial status
Okay.
and could attend cabinet meeting directly and argue for funds to be given to the commission to do its work. Today, it is not like that. The National Commission on Culture has been struggling under various ministries. Mind you, since 1990, the National Commission on Culture has been under various ministries. One, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, and now the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. So about 6 different ministries within the Fourth Republic. And anytime the commission moves, technically and administratively, the commission loses some kind
Yeah.
of competence and skill with the ministry that it is living. Okay, it is taken from. So commission lost some of its power to the Ministry of Education. For instance, the commission lost some of its power to the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture. The commission lost some of its power to the Ministry of Education and Sports at the time. And so, as we speak, now Ghana Education Service, for instance, now has a cultural unit on its own. And this cultural unit and directorate are now operating without any technical connection with the National Commission on Culture. Meanwhile, the law that established the National Commission on Culture, PNDC Law 238, mandates the National Commission on Culture as the only organization that is supposed to manage the cultural life of the people, including school children.
Definitely.
Yet, as we speak, it is the Cultural Directorate of the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service that is managing all cultural activities in schools. And if National Commission on Culture will want to engage schools, we will now have to write through the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service for clearance and permission to be able to engage school children.
Uh,
And this is all because
yeah.
we were taken away from them when we were serving the cultural needs of education. But when we left, the laws that took us from there did not give us the power to still take schools' engagement with us, and rather allow the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service, for instance, to now create a directorate to manage culture in schools, yet there's no administrative connection, no policy connection, or no legal connection. Jerome,
Uh,
I saw you wanted to
yes.
come in.
I was trying to look at this issue. Is it that the various governments that have been moving the National Culture Commission to the individual ministries, do we say that they are undervaluing the importance of the Commission on Culture?
Exactly the point. From where I sit as the Deputy Executive Director, I do not support the idea that the National Commission on Culture should be an agency under any ministry. Right? So it tells you that successive governments are all at fault in relegating culture and the cultural institution to the background, because culture and the cultural institution should be at the forefront of national development. And if we have some commissions and authorities becoming independent working on their own. I do not see why we should have a ministry to now regulate the National Commission on Culture just like any other agency. And so the National Commission on Culture now is competing with over 11 other agencies under the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture for the little resources that government gives to the ministry. And it will surprise you to note that the National Commission on Culture is the largest of all the agencies. We have regional and district representations, and not all the other agencies have as we do. But it will surprise you to know that when it comes to budget allocation, we get the same as other agencies who have only one office sitting in Accra, right? And do not have the responsibility of engaging grassroots communities as enshrined in the functions of the National Commission on Culture. So clearly, Jerome, it is a matter of disregard by successive governments, on the role that the National Commission on Culture is expected to play and the required resources that the state is supposed to give to the National Commission on Culture to be able to discharge its duties effectively and efficiently across the country. Mind you, one of the key functions of the National Commission on Culture is to be able to regulate all festivals in this country. Now, how many communities do we have in Ghana? So many.
So many.
So many, countless number of communities in this country. But when you go to our district offices, even our regional offices, they don't even have motorbikes to be able to engage, okay, in community education and the rest. So we have been there. We are so working so hard because some of us who believe that the commission has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
We are really in the times where the National Commission on Culture needs to be on its feet because of the rapid growth of technology, the various advancements. Now we are in an era of AI and the rest. And if we are not careful, we lose everything that is Ghanaian. The next 3 decades or so, you may not be able to find anybody living on this part of the earth who will be able to, beat his chest and say, I'm a true Ghanaian. Because the various qualities, the knowledge of our very existence will be lost to those people. And they will not be able to even tell their own histories because the names of our people might have been changed. Even our street names might have been changed. The kind of food we eat, we may have lost all and are importing food from elsewhere. We'll be enjoying music that are not Ghanaian. We already, our television stations across the country is full of foreign telenovelas and soap operas already and the rest. So in the next 3 decades, everything that is happening on this part of the earth may not be truly Ghanaian. And people living here may not be able to even trace where they come from. Because when you mention your name, you may not be able to tell which of your ancestors bore that name. And even the language you may be speaking may not be a Ghanaian language. And so you cannot connect it to anywhere, whether you are an Asante or you are a Bono person or you are an Awuna or Ewe person or you are a Fanti like myself or you are a Ga and all that. We would have lost all those beautiful languages, okay, to foreign languages. And so you may not be able to even use language to trace where you are coming from, thereby losing your identity completely. But we believe that so far as we continue to exist as an organization, we will continue to do our best to ensure that there will be a legacy left for the generations yet unborn And so, with the limited resources that are available to the National Commission on Culture, and with support of the media, particularly your platform and the rest, definitely, we believe one day the right people will hear our voice, and they will not just hear, but they will also be ready to act upon the suggestions and the contributions that we are making.
I think that is in the right direction, because I really fear that you have been given 3 decades. I really fear that within the shortest possible time we will lose our identity. We will lose from our identity. Look, uh, I'm from the Upper West region, and I
Mhm.
go back to the Upper West. I get a little bit disappointed because now when we have funerals and you go to the funeral ground, those days it is the dirges that are being sung, the xylophone played and everything. Right now they are playing a record dance music throughout the night.
Mhm.
Then you find out, where are we? You know,
Mhm.
we are
Mhm.
almost lost, because the younger ones coming up wouldn't even know how funerals have been performed. Not at all. How bodies have been worked on before burial and the rest, completely
Mhm.
lost. So it's
Yes,
getting to a point that you will say that I am from this place, and they ask you what is the cultural setup of the people, and you cannot say anything about it.
exactly.
It's a bit unfortunate, but maybe you know that our political setup is such that the West determines whatever happens in our country, and your commission is supposed to prevent such activities. Maybe that is where you're having the conflict.
Exactly, Jerome. That is the issue. Um, you remember about 3 years ago, there was this brouhaha that broke when the Ministry of Education wanted to introduce comprehensive sexuality education.
Yes.
And in that curriculum, there was the realization that children are going to be taught about same sex marriages
Yeah.
and the rest, which people suspected was an attempt to introduce LGBTQ, into the society
Yeah.
through schools for acceptance, right?
Yeah.
We did a lot, in terms of advocacy on that. And we had a lot of, clashes at certain point in time. The realization was that the the Ghana government is receiving a lot of funds from donors outside the country. And these donors, of course, also do have their own interest.
Interest.
And so there are a lot of conditions attached to these donations and sponsorships that are given to the country, particularly for education. And so, as you rightly said, until we decide and we succeed in winning ourselves, even if not completely, but greatly from foreign support, then definitely there's going to be a continuous clash of cultures,
Sure.
because there are always conditions attached to this support that is given to our country, and some of these have cultural bearings that influences our culture. And so that is very, very significant. And we have also, throughout the years suspected that it is no coincidence that the foreign donor is most at times interested in education,
Yeah.
because that is the formal organized area where you can influence people greatly. Anything you put in a book to be taught, the beneficiary would religiously accept it as the truth and the fact, and it would be difficult for the person to have it erased from the mind. And so it was no coincidence that Nkrumah started trying to change the mindset of Ghanaians through education by introducing, activities of culture and art that are geared towards helping us to reshape our conscience, to be able to identify ourselves as true Ghanaians. And so, sponsors of today Western sponsors of today are very, 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 very tactical, knowing that our educational setup is the way to go if you want to change the mindset of the people. It is through education. And so there are a lot of the interventions that come through education seems to, when it is supporting this aspect of education, seem to stifle the other part, which has to do with culture and the arts of the people. And so that is where we are, where it is not surprising to us that it has become very difficult for the National Commission on Culture to get access to schools at a certain point in time, because the perception that has been created in schools is that science, mathematics, engineering are more important than cultural education. And so any time that has been set up for cultural education, if the science teacher needs more time, the first place they want to go is whether they can cancel the cultural education period and give it to the science teacher, or whether they can cancel the cultural education period and give it to a mathematics teacher, in that order. So it is always relegated to the background. And some teachers even do not take students who are very much interested in culture and art as serious students. They ridicule them, and they present them as unserious students who have retarded minds and cannot do well in science and maths and other subjects. That is why they are interested in doing music and all that. And so all these have been Western influences that are really militating against even young people's interest in arts and culture. Because in the same school, the teacher that is supposed to be your role model is telling you that these things are not important. And so you don't even see it as one, a means for you to discover yourself as a true young Ghanaian, and two, whether there are even prospects in there economically for you to have a job or a career in the future from doing that. And so these are some of the key difficulties that the National Commission on Culture is facing. But as I said earlier, we are still not sleeping on the job. As we speak, we still have very active engagement with the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service to ensure a very active collaboration and partnership, which will give room for the National Commission on Culture to influence some of the policies and interventions of the Ghana Education Service. We have not been successful in concluding these engagement now, but I believe that in the future we will be very successful in having that partnership that will ensure that the Ghana Education Service will not take any decision about the culture of the young people in this country without resorting to and seeking the intervention of the National Commission on Culture.
Yeah, that is very good. We look forward to it. But one thing, before we go to NAFAC, one thing that I've been looking at is our chieftaincy setup. It looks as if government upon governments, you see the politicians in particular, as soon as they want to do their political campaigns, they run to the chiefs, they tell them all the good things. As soon as they win, that chieftaincy group is relegated to the background. So gradually, we are losing touch with our own culture. Once we lose the control of our chieftaincy setup too, then completely we are eroded with our cultural setup completely. Have you had the opportunity of trying to relate with the chieftaincy ministry, for instance, or with the chiefs themselves in the various communities to see how best they can fight into your plight?
Yes, we have very, very active collaborations with them. Mind you, until we were removed from the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture, we were directly working with them. And now that we are not with them, we have still established a collaboration with them. As we speak, the National Commission on Culture Board has representation from the National House of Chiefs
Okay.
and the Ghana Association of Queen Mothers. They are ably represented. And then we also have a representation from the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture as well. So that right from the board decision level, we are able to establish those linkages and not lose them.
Okay.
But as it were, we have even raised the question, why do you have National Commission on Culture sitting somewhere and you have the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Culture sitting somewhere? Because what is chieftaincy? Chieftaincy is culture.
It's culture.
Religious affairs is culture already. And so that alone tells everybody and exposes the political confusion that we have in the country, in terms of establishing ministries and other portfolios. So you have a ministry that is in charge of tourism, arts, and culture, and you have a ministry that is created for chieftaincy and religious affairs. Meanwhile, these two components, chieftaincy and religious affairs, are all components of culture already, right? So these are part of the fundamental issues. But that notwithstanding, we still have a very strong relationship with the chieftaincy institutions across the country. And of course, they are also very much concerned about how the position of the National Commission on Culture has been reduced to this point. A lot of them have been advocating from the north to the south. Readily, I can mention the Omahine of Esikado traditional area,
Yeah.
who has been very, very instrumental, Nanako Blanketia,
Get it.
in advocating. In fact, he has made a very controversial statement in the past that when you look at all the agencies or all the institutions that are supporting governance in this country, when you take the money allocated to the presidency, the next richest organization should have been the National Commission on Culture, because there is no organization in this country that does not have a cultural component in whatever they do, from health to minerals commission, to education, to finance, and the rest. All of them are having component that has to do with our culture. And for that matter, the National Commission on Culture should be empowered in such that they will be able to influence decisions from all these sectors. But as we speak, that is not the case. But we do have a lot of our chiefs who have always assured us that anytime they do get the opportunity, they will ensure that they make statements in this regard. And we have been getting evidences of a lot of them who have been doing that to ensure that the commission is given its rightful place. We are also aware that the constitution itself is not recognizing the powerful role of our chiefs and our queen mothers. A lot of our governance structure has given power to the politician, from the assemblyman to the district chief executive, to the regional minister, to the minister of the sector, and to the president, to the extent that all lands of this country have been vested in the bosom of the president on behalf of the people.
Yeah.
And so a chief will be in his own community, and somebody will come from outside the community to the chief and say, I have a license to mine this part of your land. And Minerals Commission has given me the go ahead, to do that and all that, without any serious recourse to the chief and the people of that community, whether they will agree
Oh no.
or not. And even to the fact that, Jerome, there are key cultural elements that are sometimes destroyed during these activities.
Yeah.
People excavate, they dig and excavate, sometimes to the extent that they are able to affect shrines, they are able to affect mangroves and reserved areas, forest reserves, or sometimes even part of cemeteries that
Yeah.
are all embodiment of the history and the culture of the people are taken away because some of these decisions are not taken by a bottom-up approach, where the people in the community and the leadership of the communities are consulted to ensure that the culture and the heritage of the people are protected. You go to certain communities, and maybe the oldest tree in the forest that may have some history, that may even have some herbal potency, to cure some kind of disease and all that, will be destroyed because somebody is sitting in Accra as part of central government, has taken a decision that has affected the destruction of all this heritage of the people, right?
Yeah.
And it is only culture that will guide you to ensure that in taking all these decisions, you need to consider all this cultural element and heritage of the people. And for doing that, you need to ensure that the right people in those communities are engaged in order to have this culture and heritage
Yeah.
protected for the people.
Wonderful. Dr. Fio, let me take the comments from our viewers, and when we come back, we have had enough of this education. They want to go ahead and see what the commission has put in place already with reference to NAFAC 2024. Thank you very much, and stay tuned. So this has been a wonderful show, My View, coming to you live on today's Ghana News TV. And at this point, we have gone to look at the existence of the National Commission on Culture and its impact on our lives. We are almost losing our culture, and a culture is the identity of a people. We cannot afford to lose it. So stay tuned. We will come back and we'll talk about NAFOC 2024. For now, we take comments from our viewers. Fans TV, humble servant Dr. Komi. It seems nowadays we don't hear anything from NCCG. Well, with the opportunity is coming, you hear more from them. Fans TV watching from Aflao, you hear more from them, and we need them, and we have to encourage them to do more for us. Frima Oye says, I'm watching from Mitchell. Who? Please, what has happened to Panafest? Okay, I would ask Doc when he comes back about Panafest. Lady Mal 2, I'm watching on Switch via satellite from St. Petersburg, Russia. Dr. Mahmoud Mohammed Ben Abdallah made the NCC very popular during the PNDC time. I remember Panafest. That is very true. That is very true. Sekwa family. It's a good evening, sir. Please kindly ask him, has the social media had a negative effect on NCC? And what are they doing to catch up with the current trends? Watching from Jumapa near Koforidua. Okay, that's possible. We'll ask and see. Person say, please, what are some of their current activities? I'm watching from Anglo Town, Koforidua. Well, NAFAC will be a very good answer for you. So stay tuned. As Mpahini says, this is very educative program. I will urge you, Dr. Komi, to continue with this media engagement. I'm watching and listening from Achim Heman. That is very true. NDC Diaspora Union. Wow, Dr. Fiokomi, big up. You are speaking like a true civil servant. God bless you for working for Ghana. Watching from Amsterdam, Holland. Grateful. Frimpong Obafi, it's been a while. Listening to the plight of Dr. Fio really makes me sad for Ghana. Without our culture, we are dead. Watching from Achesonia, Somoya. Yeah, that one is very true. The culture is the identity of the people. Jaframa TV, watching from Rara in Oti region. I'm really being educated today. God bless you guys on Today Ghana News TV. God bless you too. Kweku Yevu, please, I'm watching from Suhu, but I don't know where to locate your office at Suhu. You mean the Center for National Culture? I hope so, and we'll ask him. Nana Tafremu, watching from Tatali Northern Region. I know, as usual. Greetings from Sakina Information Center listeners. Please, what are some of the positive achievements of NCC in recent times? I would ask him about that. Kempe, Bob, you are watching from Paris, France. Please, what is your observation of Ghanaians in the diaspora towards their culture, and what are you doing about it? That's a good question, but even back home, we are struggling, let alone in the diaspora. Alenda says, good evening to you and your guests. Well, good evening to you as well. Um, okay, you are watching from Frankfurt. We are very grateful that you have joined us, Alenda. Mavis, our award-winning Mavis as usual. I'm being educated this evening. Um, I think this 1 hour is too short for this kind of program. Dog, dog need to come back again, watching with the whole family from Lisbon, Portugal. That is very true. I have to talk to my producer. We have to get Dr. coming back because NAFAC is still ahead. We don't have much time. We'll go a bit into NAFAC, but we'll need another occasion where Dr. Komi will be back here with us to give us more information. Nyame Yabio, good evening. The guest is being too honest. I'm sure the politicians wouldn't like him. Definitely. Watching from Inconta in the Oti region, I'm the popular tea seller at Inconta Lorry Station. Your program is also live of Adelima Community Information Center, Tutupen and Krachibi. We are grateful that you are carrying us, our feet across so many more people to get involved. Patience Dako, long time no see. No here. Good evening, watching from Hamburg, Germany. A very educative program. Indeed, Patience, we're grateful that you're part of the show. So, Ghana Himfi, unfortunately, our culture has been reduced to only drum and dancing. I'm being educated this evening. Thank you for this wonderful show. Watching and listening from Bomso in the Fantiakwa South District. That you have a point. Unlike those days, you go on GTV, you have Mami Dokuno with storylines and all those. We've missed those ones. But stay tuned. Dr. Komi is right here. We want to look at NAFAC 2024. And I'm sure my producer will make arrangements to have Dr. Komi again so that we can focus more on what we can do within our school setup. Doc, you're most welcome back.
Thank you, Jerome.
Yes, I've seen that NAFAC is leading everybody to Bono. Is it Bono East,
Yeah,
Tachima?
Bono East,
Great,
yes, Tachiman.
great. So what about all this NAFAC, and how will people get to understand it a little more?
Yes, Jerome, NAFAC, surprisingly, is even older than the name National Commission on Culture. As I said, the National Commission on Culture is the very current name of the organization, which started in 1990. But the organization itself has existed since 1951. And so, National Festival of Arts and Culture was the first maiden flagship program of the commission, which started in Kumasi Cultural Center. Now, Kumasi Cultural Center happens to be the first cultural center that was built in this country. And it was the activities of that place that Nkrumah decided to replicate at all regions and districts across the country. And so the National Festival of Arts and Culture seeks to bring all regions together to showcase the region's unique traditions and culture, artistic prowess, indigenous technology, and the rest to the rest of the country. So what the festival seeks to do first is to ensure that we as Ghanaians will be able to share knowledge on the various traditions and cultures that we have across the country. Because we are multi-ethnic, it is very, very important that a Fanti would admit and understand that there's a beautiful culture in Wa that I need to know about if I want to be proud as a Ghanaian. I should not only know about what the Fantis do, but I should also be able to know what the good people of Wa also do in terms of their food, in terms of their music, in terms of their fashion, in terms of their indigenous herbal knowledge, in terms of their indigenous technology, and the rest, so that in going forward, we look at what the Fanti can contribute to this culture in Wa, and what the Wa person can also contribute to this culture in Cape Coast, for instance. So it is not surprising that we have our regional offices called the Centers for National Culture, which means that when you go to our center in Wa, you should be able to learn something from the South.
Yes, sir.
From that office in Wa. So you don't go to Wa as a young person only to learn the traditions of the people in the Upper East region. But before you leave the center, you'll be able to learn Ashanti tradition, Bono tradition, Fanti tradition, Ga tradition, and the rest. And what can we do to be able to ensure that, one, to be able to ensure that we employ people from all these cultures and spread them across the country. So when you go to the WA office, you may have to find somebody perhaps who is an indigene of the Kumasi, who can really tell you about the traditions and the cultures of the Ashanti people. But that notwithstanding, if we have this festival, then somebody who is an indigene of Wa can take advantage of the festival to learn the cultures of the Ashanti people and be able to transfer them to the good people of the Upper East region when he goes back. Now, it is also the only festival in Ghana that rotates among all the regions. And so, as we speak, all the 10 old regions have benefited, some twice, some thrice, from the celebration of the festival. And this is the first time the festival is going to one of the newly created regions. And as we speak, it is the oldest national festival in this country. The festival is now 62 years old, right? Yes, and so we look forward to ensuring that we are able to, for all that we have been able to talk about, from the first part of this conversation, the National Festival of Arts and Culture seeks to highlight all these advocacy and all these issues that we talk about. The festival seeks to highlight them because it is the only platform where you have the whole Ghana and even our brothers and sisters outside the country, brothers and sisters of the diaspora, and the rest, including, international, community, converging at one place. And so we believe that it is a platform for very strong negotiations and interrogation into the cultural issues that affect our country and how we can move forward. So we do have activities like Women and Children's Day, which is dedicated to all issues of culture and development that concerns women and children. And so from the issue of the affirmative action, now Ghana has passed that law now into a law, into an act. And so the affirmative action is there about women, the issue about women in leadership, the issue about women and their roles at home, the issue about women in the corporate society, and all that are discussed. And as one of the viewers had indicated how these issues also correspond with current trends of issues. But we are also very mindful of the fact that not all global trends are relevant to our national development. And so, as a cultural institution, we are very mindful of that some of these global, so-called global trends are skewed towards leading African countries to still be second fiddles to other societies. So we are very mindful of that. Indeed, we are aware that culture is not static, culture is dynamic. So Ghana is not living in isolation. We have a lot of missions and embassies, high commissions and embassies here in Ghana. And equally, we have our missions and embassies across the globe. And so there's that exchange of culture. But we are very mindful of which cultures are positive for us to pick and adapt as part of ours, and the ones that we also need to frown upon. We are very mindful of what the global community call time has changed, and to ask the question, whose time are we talking about? So it is very, very important that we say that today we don't do things like it was done in the past. Then you ask yourself, whose today are you talking about? Are you really talking about today as a Ghanaian, or the today that has been influenced by Western cultures and traditions? That is very important. We also have a day that we set aside for the academia, which we called the colloquium, where we interrogate the theme that we choose for the festival. Now, this year's theme is Beyond NAFAC at 60, Harnessing Culture, the Pivot for Ghana's Democracy and Sustainable Development. We are of the view that if NAFAC was to be a human being, he would have retired from active service and now sitting at home, guiding young people with his experience, what to do and what not to do, and telling them of his own experience, the failures, the challenges, and the successes, and how those experiences can help young people. So beyond NAFAC at 60, we need to take retrospective discussions and look at, so far, what has our culture done to our development? Have we positioned culture so well to be able to function properly and adequately in guiding the decisions we take in terms of our national development? And if we haven't, what do we need to do in terms of policy, in terms of legal frameworks and all, in going forward, so that in the next 60 years, we will not come back and still be complaining that the National Commission on Culture is not that, it's not this, it's not that. But then we would have learned lessons from the past 60 years to be able to ensure that the Commission is well positioned to play its role effectively and efficiently. We also look at regional days where each region would have an opportunity to fully showcase all the uniqueness of that region, from their music to their food to their fashion to their language to their indigenous traditional technologies and all that, to the rest of the world. And so regions take turns to educate other regions and citizens around the globe of what pertains in their region, and also try to drive traffic there, invite people there, the various tourist sites there, the various activities that happen in the course of the year in those regions that people can take advantage of and all that. Regions are given the opportunity to do that. There is exhibition of art and crafts throughout the period. There's also a time for musical concert where popular musicians and non-popular ones and community traditional musicians and all that come together on a single platform, to also celebrate authentic Ghanaian music, as part of it. What we are looking at introducing this year is also create a platform for more foreign partners and foreign collaborations, not only for purely foreign citizens, but our own brothers and sisters who are also plying their trade outside the country. As to what partnership can we have within the cultural sector, that will also ensure that Ghana is sold out there positively, to the rest of the world. So that platform is also created so that we look at a lot of opportunities we can maximize in our country in terms of the need artistic resources that can be sold across the country, our music, our arts, and all that, our traditions. How can we package them and ensure that they also earn some kind of income for our country? Jerome,
Yeah.
one of the things that are very key in our country now that is affecting support for the culture and creative sector is the lack of data on the economic viability and potentials of the sector. And
Okay.
so it requires that we do that conversation and do it well, to the extent that very soon the state would invest in research and data collection that will give the true picture and reflection on the contribution of culture to our GDP. And that includes the fact that we need to take advantage of what cultural content we can also sell out there. Already, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and all that. Ghanaian content creators are already creating a lot on
Yeah.
these social media platforms and all that. But are we doing that in mind, having in mind that we are selling the positive aspect of the Ghanaian culture, or we are just making money? So we need also to be guided with the effect that somebody who would visit a Ghanaian social media platform will not get miseducated, thinking that what he or she is seeing on that platform is truly the reflection of the Ghanaian culture and the Ghanaian people. And so we are very mindful of that, and we need to have that interrogation so that the Commission on Culture will be in control, if not total control, but can give some kind of guidelines to a lot of the activities that happen across the country, across the globe, that is perceived to be Ghanaian. Musicians get opportunities from Ghana to travel to other European countries to perform. Cultural troops get the same, and a lot of other creatives. But the point is that, are we very sure and confident that the content they put out there truly reflect the Ghanaian culture and the beliefs and aspirations of the Ghanaian people? So we'll create that international friendship day for us to have all these interrogations and see how we can leverage on technology to sell Ghana, having also in mind that we will not be misled by technology to mislead our people.
Doc, I think we really need much more longer time than just this, to have a broader discussion. I think we have to control. I've just signaled my producer that he has to rearrange, and we have you again on the show. But for now, what's the date for NAFAC 2024?
Great. So NAFAC 2024 is happening from October 25 to October 31 in Techiman. But before that, it is expected of every region to celebrate what we call Regional Festival of Arts and Culture.
Okay.
And so every region will have a festival to build the momentum of the entire nation towards Techiman. And so there's going to be a lineup of activities for the 16 regions of the country, where they are going to also have their festivals, and through that will be able to select. They will be able to select participants who would represent the region at the national event. And so very soon, our social media platforms and all that, and I know through your very good self, today's Ghana News TV, uh, your viewers and listeners and followers need to also be following your platforms closely.
Yeah. Yeah. That one you are very right, because we see that even our flyer for this evening's show was on your Facebook handles, and definitely we will put it out there for many more people to follow. Unfortunately, we have a hit by it. We have a technical hit there, but all the same, what is important is that NAFAC 2024 is coming live 25th to 31st of October at Tachiman in the Bunu East region. So we cannot exhaust the issue of culture. As I indicated at the beginning, culture gives the identity of a people, and we cannot afford to lose it. So definitely we will have Dr. Komi once again on this show, and we'll look at the impact of social media, the impact of religion on the cultural values of our own people and of ourselves. Then we'll look at how best, like somebody rightly asked, how they can help the Ghanaian who is in the diaspora not to lose his or her culture. So wherever you are, we'll be very grateful for having you on this show. We've been having discussions with the Deputy Executive Director of the National Commission on Culture, Dr. Komi, and we're looking at the impact of culture on our nation building vis-a-vis the upcoming NAFAC 2024. So, Doc, you are here. Your last words of your passing words for our viewers before we go off. Our time is fast spent. Today, I mean, my producer is on my neck because we're taking more time. But all the same, I have made that promise. We will come back and have another discussion on culture. So,
Great. So a very, very big thank you to you and your production team for this wonderful opportunity. It is a rare opportunity that has been given to the National Commission on Culture, Ghana, and I think that this is indeed uh, one of the key roles that the media is supposed to also play as the fourth estate of the realm to ensure that we all contribute in shaping the mindset of our people. And to your viewers, very grateful. There are very, very encouraging comments that has come in. We have taken note of all the questions and all the concerns, and I believe that, as you said, we'll get the opportunity once again to answer a lot of them, because they continue to border on our culture, and everything that borders on our culture borders on our very existence as a people. And so I believe we'll have the opportunity to interact them more. However, you may have to continue to also visit our social media platforms, the National Commission on Culture on Facebook, Ghana Culture on Instagram, and the ghanaculture.gov.gh on Twitter, and also on our website, ghanaculture.gov.gh. And you'll get some of our materials also there to help you to understand the interventions that the National Commission on Culture is doing. We continue to call on you to support us in any way that you can, even sharing our post on social media for others to also get to hear what we are doing. It's part of the assistance that you can give to the National Commission on Culture to be able to do its work and do it efficiently. So thank you very much, and we invite everybody, to be part of the 2024 edition of the National Festival of Arts and Culture in Techiman, for all of us to go there and discuss our culture and make history. Thank you very much.
oh, it's a pleasure. We are most grateful for your time. and we are most grateful for this wonderful education. We will definitely come back on the same discussion so that we can answer more questions, because a lot of people have so much in their minds as to where we are as a people in Ghana. Thank you very much, Dr. Komi. So to our viewers up there, this has been MyVew Show came to you live on Today's Ghana News TV. As usual, we are very grateful for your company. We will come your way again next week, the same time, on the same show. Stay blessed and stay good. Good night.
The country where I come from, the truth is irony. Just like animal farm, justice mean inequity. So who go say the truth? Who go say the truth?